Okay, so I think we can begin with this. We have a good number of participants, so we can start with the session for today.
Can't hear you.
Okay, so I would like to officially start our second day of the event. So first of all, welcome to the second day of the third edition of Youth Internet Governance Forum India 2020. So I am Ahita Gangavarpu, and for those of you who have joined us today, my quick introduction. So I am currently working in the area of Internet of Things, that is IoT security, and have been engaging in the Internet governance space since the past 3 years now, which includes my contribution to the Youth Internet Governance Forum India, Youth IGF India. So Youth IGF India is basically a platform that aims to bring together the youth of India to learn, network, and discuss the internet governance-based policies, regulations, and technological developments that interest the youth, that affect the youth and their society. So it is a platform that is actually recognized by the United Nations Internet Governance Forum, the UNIGF, and supported by the India School of Internet Governance. This year, we have support from Facebook as well for our annual forum. We have organized 2 editions of IGF as of now. It was founded in 2018, and both these offline events saw participation of more than 150 youth. And we are very happy that Youth IGF India has reached this level of maturity over the span of 2.5 years. So yesterday was our first day of the event. As day 1 of the event, we covered the fundamentals of internet governance, like what are the concepts and the building blocks, what is the multi-stakeholder model all about. Then we spoke about the internet governance stakeholder ecosystem, who are the stakeholders, how internet is decentralized, and we also understood the core internet infrastructure, what makes the internet function. We understood routing, we understood internet exchange points, we understood the IPv4, IPv6. There were lots of details, technical details that were discussed with all of you and wonderfully simplified for all of us to understand. Then we also had a discussion on the way the pandemic has affected the governance of the internet. So we had a session called Pre and Post Pandemic and its effect on internet governance. So today we have sessions on the overarching theme of data and trust, for which I and my team, we feel extremely privileged and honored to welcome Lieutenant General Dr. Rajesh Pant, who is the National Cybersecurity Coordinator for India, and he is our keynote speaker for the day and will be introducing the topic data and trust. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in, and over to you, sir. Before I begin, I would like to give a quick introduction about you, if that's all right. Lieutenant General Dr. Rajesh Pant is an internationally recognized cybersecurity expert who is presently holding a prestigious appointment of the National Cybersecurity Coordinator in the National Security Council Secretariat of India. In this capacity, he is responsible for coordinating all activities across multiple sectors to ensure a secure and resilient cyberspace within the nation. Sir holds a PhD for his research in the field of information security metrics. He is also an MTech from IIT Kharagpur, MPhil from Madras University, and Masters of Management Studies from Osmania University. Prior to his appointment, Sir was the head of the Army Cyber Training Establishment for 3 years. He served in the Army Signal Corps for 41 years, where he was awarded 3 times by the President of India for distinguished service of the highest order. Consequent to his retirement, he was the chairman of a listed electronics company, peer review member of NAAC, and governing council member of IETE India. Sir brings to the table an interesting mix of military operations, academic excellence, corporate governance, and cybersecurity wisdom. Thank you very much, sir. Again, over to you, sir. Please address the youth.
Thank you, Hita. And firstly, I'm feeling very young today, getting so many young vibes from e-vibes from all of you. So thank you for inviting me to this third edition of the Youth Internet Governance Forum's annual forum. I see that it is an initiative to build a youth with a better perspective of the internet. And with what you spoke just now about yesterday's sessions on understanding the internet and the pre and post COVID environment, I think you're absolutely on the right lines, which is not very surprising because of, if I may share with the audience, the good genes that you have. They may not be aware that your father is our joint secretary, and the organizational capability that he has, I'm sure, has come passed on to you. So well done so far. It's been a very well curated. I've got the program in front of me. Very well curated and a very well attended sort of a webinar so far. I was just seeing your flyer and seeing the 4 things that you are concentrating on this year. And if I read them out, it is data, trust, inclusivity, and environment. So if I speak on all the 4 aspects, it will take a trust and data as part of my keynote. Let me start with trust. And this year, we are meeting under very unusual circumstances, let me say, because of the 2 C's, as they say. The 2 C's meaning COVID and the China factor. COVID, we've already discussed. From the China factor point of view, you have to understand how it is related to the internet governance, and what you people would be discussing subsequently is because there is a growing concern over the internet being split, and it is called the splinternet. Somewhere they say the balkanization of the internet. So far, these sort of impressions were limited to countries trying to take precautions that in case the internet pipe is cut, then how do they continue to function within their country? So we've had, the Russians doing it 2-3 times about the .ru and the Chinese, etc. But this year, at least in the past few months, the issue has become serious in the sense that you are aware that there has been a growing concern from the Eastern lobby, may I say, on the control of the internet with the West in terms of not only the ICANN, but the 13 root servers which control the top level domain, about which you would have been going on at the UN forums of the UNGGE and the open-ended working group, and the last UN group of government experts, the UNGGE that I just mentioned. The last 5th one could not come to a consensus on the 11 norms of good and responsible state behavior on the internet. So the situation as it is was not very satisfactory. But this year, there have been 2-3 initiatives on either side. One is the American initiative on what is termed as the Clean Path Initiative and the Clean Network. So they are propagating that a network be created which does not include China, to put it simply, whether it is in terms of the submarine cable, whether it is in terms of the network components, whether it is in terms of the actual semiconductors. They're going down to that level. And so a clean network is being propagated by a US-led sort of alliance. On the other side, we have the Chinese, who have recently come out with what is called as the GIDS, the Global Initiative on Data Security. And they've also applied to the ITU, that is the International Telecommunications Union, UN body. The Chinese have applied to the ITU for a new internet protocol. So you're aware that there is a TCP/IP that exists based on which the internet functions. But the Chinese have now applied for a new internet protocol. And they've also applied for a new data protection regime and a policy. So on one side, we have a Chinese-led network coming up, an internet network coming up. And on the other side, we have the existing internet. So for the youth, I think this should be your greatest worry as to what will be the impact if the internet gets split. And it has a direct impact. It has an impact on global trade. It has an impact on our existing financial systems. You're aware of the SWIFT network, etc. It has an impact on the research and development, because today the R&D is taking place globally. It has an impact on online education. It has an impact on social media, on society, on culture. So in case the internet gets split, I normally don't like this word, but I don't want to use the word deglobalization. It is heading towards deglobalization, which is not what it was meant to be. So I think your forum, who is going to face this, must address this issue in some session or the other. You can ask questions and ensure that we come to a solution which is suitable for all of us in the future, and mostly for your generation. So that is as far as the trust is concerned, that there is a growing lack of trust. That is the point I wanted to make. And it is not that I am saying things that are not seen. These things are now visible. And people are talking boldly about the splinternet and this forum. The second, of course, was about the data. Now, data is also related in a sense to what I said earlier, because firstly, India does not as yet have the personal data protection bill. You are aware that there is a joint parliamentary committee under Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi, which is doing a very good job. They've been calling everyone concerned and discussing all the aspects, because there are a lot of issues about the cross-border free flow of data, which may be linked to something that I said in the first part also. So while India does not have the PDP bill, we find that the other countries in Europe, let us say, which has the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulations, as well as the US, which has its own very stringent laws, they are imposing a lot of fines on the leaks that are taking place of data. So you're aware that Facebook was fined $5 billion on the 81 million profile data that was leaked to Cambridge Analytica, and many others in Europe, etc., are being fined very large sums. So that is an aspect that needs to be considered as far as India is concerned, because while we have taken some steps, you are aware that we have banned 224 apps, basically from the point of data security, because we felt that it was a threat to our national security for various reasons, the way the data was being taken out, and the way most of our, especially the tier 2, 3 cities, we don't understand the terms of agreement. In fact, for your seminar, when I switched on the link, the first thing I was asked on whether I agree to this being quoted in some UN conference on 7th to 10th of November, which is a good thing, which is for educated person, he will go through all the lines and see what it means. But for the others that are just downloading an app just for the fun of it, they may not be reading that. So we have a long way to go as far as India is concerned on the data part. Finally, let me end with the rising cybercrime, because you've discussed the COVID scenario. In the first 9 months of this year, globally, there has been a loss of $2 trillion due to cybercrime. This is a wake-up call for all of us. 4 lakh malware, and because of the online working and the WFH environment, the situation is very, very serious. So, about 10 years back, I was called to a school, I remember, where the students were debating that is internet a boon or a bane? I still remember that topic. Today I was just thinking that with this rising crime, are we back to that old debate on the benefits versus the loss that the internet is causing? So that is my final point for this youth forum, because you all have to live in this environment of the internet. It is an excellent facility. It has a lot of advantages, but these are the threats that we are facing. So the things I have covered, I've spoken a bit about the trust part, the seriousness of the splinternet. I've told you about the data aspect. And finally, there's a word of caution. As you are aware, we are celebrating the National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And there are, from the first day itself, you would have heard some jingles on the FM radio, and television ads and quiz competitions are being held in all the states of India. And we've really ramped it up this time. And I was so happy when the final day of October, I found that here is another seminar by the youth on highlighting the internet and the issues that go along with it. So thank you very much for giving me this honor. And I wish the event all success. Jai.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much again. It was a great privilege to have you speak and address the youth of our country on a platform like Youth IGF India. So actually, since you did mention cyber crimes, and we did have a question regarding it yesterday, we would actually like your perspective on, with respect to the pandemic. Now there are online cases, online students and youth online are using it for either online classes, more games, spending more time online. So do you have any suggestions on how we can protect the children from the inappropriate content that is out there, and also keep them safe? Children, as in all of us, how do we stay safe online? Because the scams and fraudulent material and fake material is all available right now, at the touch of a button.
So here, priority number one is personal hygiene, and priority number two is cyber hygiene. We have to understand that the way we were taught how to brush our teeth at home, the second most important thing, device, and start learning as to how we access the internet, right from your device to your home router, and what is a strong password, how to ensure that your software is always updated, how to ensure that there is antivirus, how to ensure that you do not post things on social media which you're not supposed to post. So cyber hygiene has to start from home. It has to continue in school. And we have recently met the chairman of both the CBSE and CRT also, that the cyber security training should start from third class in school. So it starts from home, it continues in school, and the level starts getting more and more serious as you go through college and university, and if you want to specialize. But as I said, if you have to survive in the world hereafter, priority number one is your personal hygiene. That is what we have to face with the COVID, washing hands and etc. And the next most important thing is cyber hygiene. If you follow these cyber hygiene tips, then there is absolutely no problem.
Yeah. I completely agree with that, sir, because cyber hygiene comes together with personal hygiene now, especially in this era. So can we take one more question from you? How can cybersecurity be ensured within the government organization which has sensitive information? There are quite a few questions on the chat, but I think we'll take very limited.
So what is going to happen very shortly is that the government is going to release a national cyber security strategy 2020. In fact, the Prime Minister on 15th of August this year has already announced that a new strategy is being released. The strategy has been made, and it is awaiting the final approval of the cabinet. So that once it is there available in the open domain, you will find covers the entire ecosystem of cybersecurity governance and all the aspects that are associated with it, both for individuals, for business, for academia, and for the government. And as I said, we are covering all aspects of whether it is cyber education, cyber audit, and there is a whole of a nation approach, as it is called. And the concept is one which is called CBDR, a common but differentiated responsibility. That means for our national cyber security, everyone is responsible. You are also responsible. So everyone from individuals to business to government and everyone in the critical sector, etc., we are all responsible for our national cyber security, because that's how the attack takes place. They find the weakest link. There's a human error. They enter one person in the organization through a phishing mail, and then they spread laterally and escalate their privileges and try and get maximum data or take control of the system. And these days, ransomware is a big threat. They are, heartless people without any qualms. They are attacking hospitals and getting money. The other day, there was a case in Germany, in the Berlin University's health clinic, where there was a ransomware attack and the patients had to be shifted from one hospital to the other, and one patient died. So, cybercrime is now beyond data thefts and money. It is getting more and more serious. So the government will come out with this strategy very soon, and that is how we will be addressing these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So can we take one more question? So how can we restore the trust of users towards trusted sources of news? This is with regards to fake news.
This is also a threat, the misinformation and the disinformation and fake news. And from what has happened in the last US elections onwards, this issue has picked up. And in India also, we've had these cases of, some events happening in Bangalore where there was a, mass sort of thing. So, firstly, one has to be verified. If it is something that is sensational, then it has to be verified. And there are 2-3 sites where, they can tell you whether the news is fake or not. And you have to trust, I think, the printed press, firstly, because the newspapers have a system of verification. And as I said, you don't forward messages, because I always keep telling my friends in my WhatsApp group that if you forward a message which is sensational and which you're not sure of, then you are part of that process of misinformation. So don't fall for these traps. And as I said, one has to handle the whole aspect very responsibly. Yeah, this is a very important aspect. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Then actually, there are quite a few questions on the chat, but I believe that since you'll run out of time, we would like to... I can do that? Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Send a mail to me and I'll reply to them individually. I mean, I'm paid for spreading cybersecurity awareness. So I have just... So, please send them to me by email at ncsc@gov.in. ncsc@gov.in, and you will get a reply. Thank you very much and all the best. And as I said, you made me feel young today. So just bash on regardless. And be responsible.
Thank you so much, sir.
All of you.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you very much for addressing the youth. It's been a great privilege to have you, sir. And since we have a participation profile of young individuals who are from law, from technology, public policy, so it's a very interesting and very important discussion for all of us, and it motivates us to stay in and work in internet governance. I'm sure that the diverse set of participants.
Will there be a recording available? I want to see what happened yesterday. I missed it somehow.
Yes, sir. There'll be a recording available. We'll share it with you. I'll share it the same email ID that you've shared. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much, sir. And we look forward to the National Cybersecurity Strategy also. Thank you, sir.